This edition of MacVoices is sponsored by Linode, high-performance cloud hosting for everyone. Visit linode.com/MacVoices and take $20 off your first server package. Welcome back to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, we try to talk to as many developers as we can. Usually they're just kind of busy developing. But once in a while we corner one. And this time I'm happy to welcome back to the show John Brayton of Golden Hill Software. John, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here.
It's good to be back, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm delighted. Unfortunately, we don't get to do WWDC this year, but you know, it just is what it is.
Yep, WWDC remotely. So
yeah,
it's not the same thing.
No, it'll be great to, you can still connect with people that you usually do, but you don't have that chance for random interaction or, meeting new people that we all enjoy so much. But, sign of the times, I guess.
Yeah, I agree. The social interaction is the big loss of not going to San Jose.
And it'll be interesting to see, because I'm sure that there'll be plenty of people trying to fill that void and, yet do it in a way that isn't strange. So I don't know how it'll work, but, we'll do what we can.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk to you about a version of your app, Unread. You've just released a new version. I wanted to find out what's new with it and what's going on with it.
Sure. So Unread is it's an RSS reader. In general, it differentiates itself based on having beautiful typopography, comfortable gesture-based navigation, and a variety of color themes. So it has 13 or 14 different themes. It has, a day theme and a night theme, but it also has a pure black color theme. There's a dusk theme, a dawn theme, and several others. But that's not what's new. What's new is I have some big new features. The biggest is a feature that I call automatic web page text. So the idea behind that is that a lot of publishers publish an RSS feed that include just a summary. Maybe it's the first paragraph or first couple sentences of a story, and then it ends with, a line says, click here to read the rest of the article. And of course, what people using an RSS reader really want to do is just read the article right there. They don't want to open it in the Safari view. They just want to read the article in their RSS reader. So what this feature does is there are several parts to it. One is it automatically determines which feeds are summary only. And if a feed is summary only, it brings you right to the web page text. And that's the second part, is that the web page text, essentially Unread can retrieve the full text of the article from the web page and display it right in its native article view. And finally, it can cache that web page text ahead of time. So let's say, you're at home, you're getting ready for a trip, or you're going to be offline. It'll cache all, not only the articles from the RSS feeds, but it will also cache the web page text. So then if you're going on an airplane or something, you have all of that to read, including the images, to read while you're offline. So that's the automatic web page text feature.
So let me get this straight. and I'm going to pick on our friends over at Macworld. Because they typically publish those summaries. And in most RSS readers, if you want to see the whole thing, you have to do that click more. So are you saying that your reader will go ahead and pass right through that more gateway and grab the text and have it not only be able to do that, but also have it cached on my machine so that I can just look it up as I wish?
Exactly. If you're subscribed to the Macworld feed from within Unread, you basically can't even tell, or you don't even see an indication that the feed only contains a summary. You'll just get the full article text right within Unread.
Wow, that seems like really useful, and to say the least. So if I want to do that, is that a setting, or is that just something that Unread does for every item in my RSS feed?
So Unread tries to determine, or it determines which feeds are summary only, and it'll make that determination once. And once it has made that determination, it will automatically retrieve the full web page text. You can turn that on or off for each individual feed, but Unread determines the initial setting for you automatically.
Oh, okay. That's phenomenal. I guess my only concern would that be when. How often is it doing that? And I'm thinking of bandwidth issues. Now, I know you're just retrieving text and not graphics, and that helps definitely hold things down. But is this going to be doing things when I'm out and about using my cell data, or does it wait until I get to Wi-Fi?
You can configure that either way. There are 3 different caching settings. By default, it's when you're using Wi-Fi. It will only cache when you're on your local Wi-Fi network. You can set it to cache all the time, even if you want it to use your cellular data, and you can turn it off entirely if you don't want it to do that at all.
Okay. And can I set up how often it accesses the feeds to see what's new?
Yes, there are also 3 different settings for that. So by default, it will check feeds automatically in the background roughly every 15 minutes, but it sort of depends on when iOS gives it the chance to do that. You can also set that to only happen either manually or automatically, but only while you actually have Unread open.
Okay. So I've got pretty much total control over how my bandwidth is being used, and whether or not it's taking up space on my computer, which, or excuse me, on my phone, which again is not a big deal because we're talking text here.
Right. It'll also cache the images, but yes, it will only do that caching. Again, if you've set it to only do that on your local Wi-Fi network, that's the way it'll be, and only on your local Wi-Fi network is the default. So again, the 3 settings for caching are off entirely, only when on Wi-Fi, or on all the time. And the 3 settings for whether you wanted to check feeds at all are just manually, just while you're using Unread, while you have it open on your device, or automatically in the background.
I love the fact that you've come up with a function that, I don't know if it's unmatched, but I don't know of another RSS reader that will go through that more tag and pull things in automatically.
Yeah, there are other RSS readers that have settings where you can say for this feed, always load the web page text. I think Unread is the only RSS reader that can make that determination by default. It doesn't start on for every feed. It doesn't start off for every feed. It makes an intelligent decision for each feed, but then you can adjust it later if you want to.
Yeah, and I guess I'm like everybody else. You find something that works for you, and you stick with it until somebody slaps you in the face and says, "Hey, I've got another solution or a better solution," and then you start looking around. So, yeah, I'm going to definitely have to check this out because I see so many advantages there. Again, not the least of which is you're letting me have all the information available when I want it, not having to pull down and suffer through, those couple seconds or milliseconds, which always do seem a lot longer than they really are.
Right. Exactly.
What I know that the appearance of Unread has always been a big focus for you, and you kind of aren't talking about that this time. You're just talking about the functions.
Yeah, so the look and feel of the app is essentially unchanged. It still has really nice topography. It still has really nice color themes, but those didn't change much in version 2. Those are basically as they were with Unread version 1.
Are these the main new features, or is there anything else in this version?
Yeah, so the big features are automatic web page text. A second one is subscription management. So the previous version of Unread, there was no facility to subscribe to new feeds or to unsubscribe from feeds, but now you can do all of that within Unread. You can just enter a website URL in Unread. It will find the RSS feeds, let you subscribe to any or all of them. It will let you unsubscribe from feeds that you're subscribed to, and it'll also let you reorganize your subscriptions. You can move subscriptions into folders or out of folders and rename them. You can create and delete folders. Full-fledged subscription management.
That too, we can talk about RSS, but if you have adopted RSS as a way to get your information, all those features are things that you're going to want. Because I know I have a core set of things that pretty much stays there, but it seems like I will add things to it. I'll take things off of it because maybe they're no longer relevant, or I feel like they're just giving me junk. And to be able to do that within the app and not have to go out and do it some other place is a really, really nice feature.
Right. And one sort of minor addition is that if you unsubscribe from a feed and you're offline, that's no problem. You can unsubscribe from the feed while you're offline, and then when you get a cellular or Wi-Fi connection again, it'll sync that up to the cloud.
Is there anything you haven't thought of, John?
Oh, plenty.
Oh, okay. And that'll be in the next version, right?
I hope so.
How do you, we've talked a little bit about the COVID-19 situation here on MacVoices as it applies to whatever the topic of the day is. How do you feel like this has affected the RSS market, if you will? I mean, do you think more people are adopting that as a way to manage information, or do you think they're running from it?
I do think that sometimes people are running from information, and sometimes that's a good idea because you have to keep yourself sane. But I think that Unread provides a nice way to sort of manage the information you want to. That RSS provides a nice way to manage the information you want to consume. If you want to consume all the either the news about the disease or news about government response to it, you can absolutely do that in Unread. If you want to avoid that like the plague, and no pun intended, if you want to avoid all of that news and just subscribe to, say, just read technical news, or just read subscribe to feeds that have pictures of pets, you can absolutely do that too.
MacVoices is supported by Linode. You can build it on Linode. A robust online presence is important anytime, but even more so right now. You need your website or your hosted services to be as stable and secure as possible, but you also need to have those services as responsive as possible. And that's why you need Linode. If you already have a site, take a look at how long it takes to load. If it seems slow, you should look into Linode. Their native SSD storage, 40 gigabit network, and industry-leading processors make sure that your site will load as quickly as possible. And a fast-loading site means more business. If you're looking to build a new site or deploy new services, you should look at Linode for the same reason, but also because of their 10 worldwide data centers, so that your site can be hosted where it needs to be, not where the service provider thinks it should be. And you want to be sure that your site is easy to keep up. Linode makes deployment and maintenance easy with their tools to provision, secure, monitor, and back up your server. And that's just the beginning. So right now, go find out what Linode can do for you at linode.com/MacVoices. That's Linode, linode.com/MacVoices, and take $20 off your first server package. Linode.com/MacVoices to take $20 off your first server package. Get started now and have your new server up and online in no time. Thanks to Linode for their support of MacVoices. Thank you, because that reminded me, and I skipped over it. You said that you are caching images as well. Mm-hmm. So are you saying that when I look at a feed on Unread, I am going to basically get the same kind of web page presentation, graphics, and all?
Yes, you will get the embedded images. You won't get the images that tend to be a company logo at the top or things like that. But any image inside an article, you will get that right within Unread.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, there's a lot of appeal here to do this. So, what's the pricing and availability situation with this? How are you handling that?
Yeah, so it's I moved to a subscription model. So the price is it's $20 a year, and that gives you everything. That gives you all the all the updates, and I'm constantly adding new features. You get everything for $20 a year.
Now you know what's going to happen. You just caused me to get emails. They're going to say, I will never buy subscription software. And, I keep trying to educate people and think, you as a developer, you have to eat, unfortunately. And, something like this is going to be a utility that if you adopt RSS, you're going to be using it every single day. This is one of those utilities that kind of is ideal for a subscription model. And what you've done with it and the fact that you keep coming back here to talk about it, it shows that you continue to develop and not just keep it current with the OS, but keep adding new features. And from what you're saying, some really, really cool, useful features.
Right. One of my primary goal with moving to subscription pricing is to be able to focus on improving the app and releasing updates as quickly as I can, and not having to, save 4 big new features to release a big, 3.0 version in a year. Instead, I can just, when I have an improvement to add, I can just release it right away, and not worry about not saving up features to charge an upgrade price. I don't have to think about that again.
Yeah, and it means the people that are really using the app are going to really use the app and I think adopt it and hopefully appreciate it for the quality piece of software that it is.
Right. That's my hope.
I know that there have been some other apps that you were doing, and I don't know, are you still doing any of the other Golden Hill software apps?
Yep. So the other app that I still have and focus on a little bit is called FeedHawk. So FeedHawk is now free, and FeedHawk is an app that lets you. It's also an RSS app. It lets you subscribe to a website's RSS feeds via the share sheet. So let's say you're visiting a website with either mobile Safari or Chrome or Firefox, just about any web browser, and you think this is an interesting website, I would like to see if this has an RSS feed and subscribe to it. You can just open the share sheet, select FeedHawk, and FeedHawk will find the feeds and let you subscribe right there in the app. And that is available for free in the App Store.
Am I able then to transfer my subscriptions from FeedHawk over to Unread?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way it works is that both products use a syncing service. So, for example, Unread supports Feedbin, Feedly, FeedWrangler, InnerReader, NewsBlur, and also Fever API compatible services. And FeedHawk does something similar. The set of services. FeedHawk actually supports a superset of services that Unread supports. The only difference is that FeedHawk doesn't support all of the Fever API services. But the idea is that both talk directly to your RSS syncing service of choice.
Okay. And thank you for naming those, because that is something that, again, for the folks who maybe are a little more advanced, a little more familiar with RSS, they're looking at those services as a way to manage between Mac and iOS, and maybe even between apps. So
right. I mean, that's the nice thing about having all these syncing services is you can use Unread on your phone, and you could use a different app on your Mac, and a different app on if you use Windows, a different app on Windows, and even a different app on Android if you happen to use Android as well.
John, it sounds like some really nice new features I've got to check out now, because I love that idea that I don't have to wait on things, that they're just there waiting for me. So good job.
Thank you. Thank you. There's one other thing I want to talk about a little bit, and that is the keyboard navigation. So Unread 2 has, if you use an iPad with a keyboard, Unread has great keyboard navigation. You can, if you have a keyboard, you can use Unread and almost never touch the iPad screen. You're just touching the keyboard. And in addition to that, I also, in an update, released trackpad support. So with if you have Apple's new Magic Keyboard, or even just an external trackpad, it makes Unread very comfortable to use on an iPad with a keyboard and or a trackpad.
Okay, so why did you decide to give the user the ability to just not use it as a touch device almost, if you're just supporting a keyboard, if I understood what you said correctly?
I mean, you can use it with, by touching the screen, but if you happen to use an iPad with a keyboard, it just makes it very, well, let me put it this way. When I use my iPad and keyboard, the last thing I want to do is touch the screen, because I have to, reach up and touch the screen. What I'd like to do is keep my hands on the keyboard if at all possible. And so this new feature in Unread makes that possible.
I ask just because it factors into what is turning into an ages-old debate of, keyboard, not keyboard, iPad, MacBook Pro, MacBook. I mean, where does it fall? And that's why I don't know that I've talked to anybody yet who has specifically touted that as a feature. And yet it makes perfect sense, because I know how I feel when I'm using my iPad with a keyboard. It does seem a little weird to reach up there and touch something. So interesting. But it also is a good example of a feature that, for a subscription model, it's not a major feature, but it's something nice and new and won't apply to everyone, but it's there if you want it.
Yeah, my impression is that, certainly most people who use Unread just on their phone will never use an external keyboard. But if you use Unread on your iPad, quite a few people don't use an external keyboard with their iPad, but quite a few people do. And if you use an external keyboard with your iPad, you really want to be able to do all the navigation with the keyboard, as long as the keyboard is in front of you, the keyboard or the trackpad.
How easy was, I've got to ask, because we haven't really talked to developers about this. How easy was it to add those features with the trackpad and the external mouse, or excuse me, the trackpad and the keyboard? Pardon me.
Right. So the trackpad was actually fairly straightforward. One thing that made trackpad support somewhat interesting with Unread is that Unread has gesture-based navigation. What you do is you swipe to the left to open a menu, or you swipe to the right to dismiss the screen that you're on and go back to, go up a level in the view hierarchy. So that made for some interesting work with a trackpad, but for the most part, that was fairly straightforward. Keyboard navigation was a huge undertaking, because there's just a lot of edge cases, like, navigating up and, let's say you're navigating up and down a list of articles in the article list. You have to keep track of, whether a row was selected, which row was selected. If you refresh and get new articles if you refresh and there are new articles, it's no longer, the third article that's selected. Now it's the fifth article that's selected, because you have a few articles above. And of course, someone might open an article with a keyboard attached, but then navigate out of the article view when they don't have the keyboard attached anymore. And if you do that, you don't want on the prior screen, you don't want the selected article to still be highlighted, because it looks silly when you're just navigating by a touch to have a table row just selected when you're not opening it. So there are a lot of weird edge cases with keyboard navigation, but but that made it a lot of fun, and I think it's an incredibly useful feature.
Thank you. For going into that much detail, because I think a lot of us have this perception, whether you're going from the iPad and iPhone back to the Mac or from Mac over to the iPad, that it's just a matter of, just turn on the keyboard thing and it'll work, and turn on the trackpad thing and it'll work. And it's depending on the app, it might be that easy, but I kind of doubt it. That there are a lot of decisions, I guess, you have to make in that kind of thing, in doing that.
Yeah, I sort of lucked out in that keyboard navigation was one of the first Unread 2 features I implemented, and the fact that I did that so early gave me a lot of time to realize that some of the things I had done didn't quite work, and time to change it before I released it. So yeah, there was a lot of just trying different things and seeing how things looked and felt and worked, and just trial and error.
Very nice. Very nice. Obviously, the apps are in the App Store, but with the website where we can let people get a look at what it all looks like.
The website is goldenhillsoftware.com. If you go there, if you go to goldenhillsoftware.com, and right on the homepage, there's a big banner for Unread, and click that, and it'll take you right to the Unread webpage. In fact, a shorter link is just if you go to unread.app, that will also take you there.
Oh, okay. So, but it takes you to Golden Hill Software.
Take you to the same. Yeah, it'll redirect you to Golden Hill Software. Yep.
Good. Okay, great. John, thank you. Thank you for the update, and thank you for some great new features that I'm looking forward to playing with.
Certainly. Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's always fun. Maybe I'll see you at a virtual WWDC event.
Yeah, that would be great.
All right. Come back anytime. It's always interesting to hear what you come up with.
All right. Will do.
Talk to you soon.
All right. Thank you, Chuck.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. If you are using RSS, you probably should check out Unread. If you're not using RSS, you definitely should check out Unread as a way to get your news, organize your news, and maybe even, as strange as it sounds, consume more news, but consume it in a controlled, easy fashion. That's one of the benefits of RSS, and it's going to be one of the benefits of Unread. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CacheFly at cachefly.com.